Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. This video here, we're going to talk a little bit about the geometry of pre-birth world line templates, which is a dry name, but all of you should know what I'm talking about. This is the architecture or the topography of the life that you will live. Now, upon this topography, you have freedom of movement, which is a vector. It's a path that curves along this pre-birth world line template. You will be able to make all kinds of decisions, but the template itself will funnel those decisions so that you do not deviate far from your initial constraints. You won't be allowed to go too far off of it unless you make a slide to another completely different template. I think a lot of people don't understand that. You have to make a world line slide if you want to get out of the environment. Now, I've been talking about how I wanted to talk about CERN, and I'm going to do that right now. There is ample evidence that strongly suggests that all these Mandela effects occurred after the specific date when CERN conducted a specific test. I'm not going to refute it or dispute it. I am just going to take it as a factual truth. You all can say that I'm crazy if you wish. It seems to make sense to me. What they did and how they did it is immaterial. Even if I knew how they did it, I couldn't replicate that. But essentially, evidence suggests that they made a small change to an attribute of an electron, and then thus the butterfly effect came into being. And so you have something absurd, like the Monopoly man never had a monocle. Now listen, guys, that's absurd. That is absurd. All of us have lived with the iconic representation of the wealthy rich person ever since the 1920s, or even before that. He wore a top hat, a suit, has a cane, has a monocle, and a lot of times has a ticker tape machine. This is an iconic representation of a wealthy rich person. Yet, in some alternative universe that we are part of, we have this iconic representation minus the monocle. Well, for goodness sakes, why don't we just put him in a plaid salesman jacket, remove the top hat, and put a cowboy hat on him? It's the same effect. It's a fundamental archetype. This iconic eye representation of a wealthy person. This has existed from before my parents were born, and I'm old. And then suddenly we have got this game, and suddenly he's never had a monocle. Give me a friggin' break. In this reality, he's never had a monocle. Imagine you were in my shoes, and you were in China Lake, and suddenly you're over there and everybody's eating hot cereal, spicy hot cereal. You're eating Cheerios with hot peppers. If you told them, what the hell's this nonsense? What the hell's this all about? They would look at you dumbfounded. That's the way it's always been. We've always had it this way. And that's the same thing with The monocle man. The monocle man in Monopoly. Now, some of these other things, I'm vaguely aware of them. The Mandela, of course, named after Nelson Mandela, who died in jail. Oh, excuse me, he's still alive right now. Imagine that. And other such things, like Jiff versus Jiffy. Fruit of the Loom. Fruit of the Loom. My God, it's a cornucopia. How do I know? Because where else would you learn about a cornucopia? How would you know about a cornucopia? Think about it, people. Do they teach what a cornucopia is in elementary school? Do you have a cornucopia in your house? Did you have a cornucopia when you were eating Thanksgiving meals? No. A cornucopia is an absurdly rare item. Yet all Americans know what a cornucopia is because we know from the underwear that all of us wore. But yet suddenly that cornucopia no longer exists. It doesn't exist. Good golly, gosh darn it. So we learned about the cornucopia from where? Where did we learn about a cornucopia? A McDonald's commercial? Jack's? It's that old fast food restaurant. A Big Boy? Where did we learn about cornucopias? Did they have cornucopias in supermarkets on Thanksgiving? And that's what we learned what a cornucopia was? No! Americans learned about a cornucopia from daily looking at their underwear when they put it on. Well, most kids put new underwear on every day. And they'd see it every single day. They knew what a cornucopia was. And then one day, the kid says to Baba, says to his dad, "What is that thing?" And the father says, "Well, that's a cornucopia, son." But in this reality, doesn't exist. Imagine that. So, you see, I'm looking at it in a different way. I'm not saying he's right and she's wrong and he's right. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying archetypes. The archetypes do not change. Just little elements changed. And because this is recent, say in the early, I don't know, whenever CERN did whatever CERN did. Whenever CERN did whatever CERN did, that's when the change happened. But it didn't change what happened in 1920. Didn't change what happened in 1910. Back then, a rich person wore a top hat, carried a cane, wore a suit and a tie, and had a monocle. And in this game, that rich guy, somehow we're supposed to believe he never had a monocle. That's insane. It's not that way. Doesn't work that way. Don't mean to yell at you guys. You know, I'm still very uncomfortable with this idea of being shadow banned and blocked, believing as I was programmed to all my life about freedom of speech, only to find out the freedom of speech never really existed. And instead we have platforms of speech that are curated for various political objectives. They have no bearing at all on speaking your words. So, you know, I spend time doing whatever posts I do and whatever comments only to find them evaporated in a nanosecond, and it's upsetting to me. But I can tell you I have a little bit of insight in the future, and that's all going to change. Don't you know? I've been placing a lot of videos here about things to be afraid of or expect. Get a lot of hate for it. People, change is natural. Change happens. You're not going to be able to run away from change. It's going to happen. Change happens. There's going to be good change and bad change. So these videos are just showing you a mix of good and bad. Deal with it. I'm the only one who's going to show you. It's like that godforsaken Star Trek Academy. I can't believe... I wrote a comment. I said, Gene Roddenberry never wanted Star Trek to be this. You have to use this. If this is not the behavior of a captain on a modern battleship, then it shouldn't take place in the television series either. They never really saw that. Instead, these woke activists are all talking about this strange, bizarre, woke paradise being pushed down your throat. No, basically what they did is they took a vibrant fan audience and decided to shove woke nonsense down everybody's throat. It's horrible and really not entertaining. It's actually kind of ucky. It's sort of like looking at a fifth grader's sexual fantasy. It's like really disgusting. I don't know. I think these people got mental illness, but they got lots of money. There's a question of where all this money comes from, but that's none of my business. I'm in this reality, and maybe I should just swap my reality out. I can do that, but I'm having too fun taking care of some other stuff right now. You need to change your realities too. Make sure your reality fits you. And by God, darn it, you all should be doing exactly what I'm saying about affirmation campaigns. I am not lying. You stick with them. You're going to see results after 3 years. And you're going to look back and say, holy shit, my life is happening. My life is happening. But if you think you can just do it for a couple of days, it's going to happen. Or if you think that you're going to get a job with Domain and get paid, are you out of your fucking minds? I get all kinds of stuff. People say things. It's like, come on, man. Don't bother me with this. And that's another thing while I'm on my little bit of a soapbox and rantathon. I know why people cultivate and curtail their access. Because if you've got a couple thousand fans and they all want a piece of you, then you have no time for your family. And some fans are just plain rude. I'm not saying all you guys are, but I'm just being honest. So you got to kind of put these barriers up of privacy. Honest to God, if I saw some of these actors from Hollywood, I would be so happy. I would be just so very, very happy to meet with them. Even if it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger riding a bicycle or whoever it may be. I'd just be happy and I'd like to buy him a coffee or something. And not even talk about movies or anything. Just talk. I remember when I was a little kid, went to Gimbals. It was a store that used to exist. And there was a guy, he was a guy who played Artemis Jordan in the Wild Wild West television show. And I was so afraid to go up to see him. He was just sitting there at a table all by himself signing autographs. And he was talking about how my sister's name is the same as name as his sister. It's so real. It's so nice to meet these people. I really enjoy that. Okay, people. I just wanted to touch a little bit of bases here, talk a little bit about CERN, and get it off my chest. The icon of the iconography, the icon of the wealthy man from the world of Monopoly changed, but not the archetype. So it's preposterous to think that the well-known archetype of a cornucopia or a wealthy man did not translate into a product design. And that's the issue that a lot of people have. People, take care. Be kind to dogs and cats. Take your time and eat well. And remember, guys, I believe in you. I do. I really believe in you. Take care.